Hi, I'm Sheila Heelan and welcome to Happiness Series.
Hello, welcome back. My name is Natalie McGee. I'm a blogger and fitness contributor for Happiness Series. Today I'm going to be showing you a series of modifications that you can do for your yoga practice, as well as exercise in general. I'm an avid yogi as well as a yoga instructor, and I have found throughout my pregnancy it's been a little bit of a challenge as my body changes to change my practice. So today I'm going to show you how you can still continue your yoga practice. You don't have to be intimidated. You can continue to work out, but as always, check with your primary care provider first and making sure that you're safe to work out. So the first thing you're going to do when you come into your yoga practice, this is just a regular practice, not a prenatal yoga teacher. Prenatal yoga is great as well, but you definitely it doesn't have to be a prenatal yoga class for you to still get the benefit of it. So the first thing you're going to do when you walk into that yoga studio is grab a yoga block. These are your new best friends from your first trimester all the way through your third trimester. Grab one or two of these. These are great. And place that at the top of your mat. So I'm going to go over some typical poses that you're going to need to modify throughout your practice. The good news is most of the poses are still going to be safe for you. Obviously, in your first trimester, you might feel a little bit of a pull in the abdomen. I did from the bottom or from the top of the pelvis all the way up. So I just try to stay away from back bends, wheel. Anytime we'd have our arms extended overhead, it was leaning too far back. I feel a little pull right here, and so that told me to back off. So back bending, you're going to have to probably lay off of from early on. But everything else you can modify. So starting from down dog obviously perfectly safe, spreading the 10 fingers wide, allowing the feet to be inner hip width distance apart. And as you move through your yoga practice, one of the main poses that you always come back to a transition to get into down dog is chaturanga and up dog. So to modify your up dog, you can do a few different things. You can either just go into your chaturanga, keeping the elbows in tight, gaze forward, push back up to plank, and meet the rest of the class in down dog. Or you can drop down to the knees while everyone else is pulling their heart center through an up dog or cobra. You're going to take your hands, interlace them behind your back, breathe the chest to chin, and allow the fists to move down the back as you bring the gaze up to the ceiling. So what you're doing here is the same thing that everyone else is doing in class with their cobra and with their up dog, which is getting a nice curve in the spine and a nice shoulder opener and opening through the front of the chest. So you can either be here, you can hold plank, which we all know is a great core strengthener, or you can just meet the class in down dog if you're too tired. Okay. Another pose that you're going to encounter, which is fairly common in any yoga class, is forward fold and halfway lifts. Anytime you're at the top of the mat, that's why I suggest bringing your block there and leaving it there. So when you forward fold, first trimester when you don't have the belly in the way, it's going to be easier for you to fold down towards the floor. As your belly grows, as your pregnancy progresses, it's going to be harder for you to get those fingertips to the floor. Think of the block as just an extension of your hands. So you'll just bring the fingertips to the block. Draw the chest forward and allow the block to pull you deeper into the stretch. You can take your feet a little bit wider than necessary, or than you normally would if you weren't pregnant. That's going to allow you to just fold deeper too, giving you space for your belly. And then same thing with a halfway lift. Just take your fingertips to the block and raise your chest halfway. So modification for forward fold and halfway lift. Just use the block for a little extra support. As you move throughout the yoga practice, your teacher may or may not have incorporated twists into the class. Twisting, closed twists are never good for pregnant women because they raise your heart rate very quickly. They're meant to build heat in the body. They're also meant to raise the temperature inside. So you don't want to raise the temperature of the blood and risk having a miscarriage, especially in your first trimester. Obviously, as you get bigger, it's going to be hard to twist anyway. You're not going to be able to get that elbow to the outside of the knee. So if you encounter a twist within your yoga practice from a crescent lunge, your teacher might say, hands to heart center, prayer twist over to the right. That would mean bringing your elbow to the outside of the knee. Instead of twisting closed, you're just going to open up. Okay, so open twists are always safe. Coming back to heart center, or you can just keep the hands here while the rest of the class twists. You can also encounter a prayer twist from an Utkatasana. So feet together, knees together, soften the inner thighs. And the teacher might say hands to heart center, prayer twist over to the left. Same thing, you're just going to open up the arms here. Make sure that the knees are in line with one another. Okay, so they're just typical poses, standing postures, and as well as transition postures that you may come in contact with, and modifications for those. Usually towards the end of class, yoga teachers will have you come on down to the mat and do a grounding series and a spine strengthening series. So in your grounding series, you might come across, for example, a Janushirasana, which is another way of twisting. It's similar to tree pose. The rest of the class will be twisting over the extended leg. Again, this is a closed twist. You want to think about extension, not compression. So whenever the class is closing off the twist, you can simply twist the other way. And same thing if you have the foot outside the leg. The rest of the class is twisting over the leg. Not closed, think open. So you're just going to twist the opposite way. This is a great way for you to still get the benefit of the practice, not feel left out of the class. If you bring the legs out in front of you, removing the flesh in the front of your sit bones, and the teacher has you folding forward, you're just going to take your legs a little bit wider than everyone else, allowing space for your growing abdomen, and use your hands to fold forward here. You can also use the block to pull you deeper into the stretch, flexing the toes towards the face. If the teacher has you laying on the ground and starting to open up the back, doing locust or Dhanurasana, here's the modifications for those. In locust, you're laying on your belly. You have the hands behind your back, opening up the heart center. So you can come onto your knees and do the same thing, get that same opening. Dhanurasana is also laying on your belly, so you're going to lay on your side. Dhanurasana is floor bow, so you would be kicking the feet into the hands. So while the rest of the class is on their belly, you just lie nice and comfortable on your side, reach for your feet, and then you're going to kick the feet into the hands this way. Knees open wide, draw the shoulders back, and keep the head lifted from the ground. And then you can switch sides, or you can just do one leg at a time. It's your choice how you modify that. Another modification, always great for you to come to in your yoga practice when the rest of the class is lying on their belly, is just simply coming into your tabletop and finding some cat-cows. Especially in your third trimester, cat-cows are one of the birthing positions that your care provider is probably going to recommend as you're going into labor, moving into active labor, moving through your contractions. It also helps if you're having back labor. So cat-cow is going to be one of the poses that your primary care provider is probably going to recommend as you move through labor. So why not get into practice in it now, using your yoga class and using that time while the rest of the class is on their bellies to be practicing your cat-cows, drawing the shoulders down the back, lengthening the spine, and then chin into the chest. And finally, at the end of class, when you get to enjoy and your class is over, Shavasana. I recommend getting in the habit early on to start laying on your side in Shavasana. You can use the block here too. You can place it in between the knees. So while the rest of the class is laying on their back, you're going to come onto your side. You can take that block, place it in between your knees. Just going to give your hips some support and lay on your right or left side while the rest of the class is laying on their back. The reason that it's recommended that you lay on your side and not your back is because as the uterus grows, it starts to put pressure on the back side of the body and on the lungs. So you'll find it a little bit harder to breathe as your belly grows. You're really going to notice the difference. Laying on your back is not as comfortable. So start getting in the habit of laying on your side for Shavasana from the very first class you walk into when you're pregnant. Carry that with you all the way through the end and enjoy your Shavasana because you've definitely earned it. So thank you so much. I hope these tips help you when you come into your yoga practice and allow you to continue your practice throughout your pregnancy.